Hi, it's Scott McCain. It goes without saying that these are challenging and crazy and distinctive times that we're going through right now. But I think for many of us individually, one of the critical challenges is that so much unknown about the current situation creates a great degree of worry. So in other words, one of our major problems that we can all understand right now is that we're worried. We're worried about finances. We're worried about our health. We're worried about the future. We're worried about the stock market, our retirement, or we're worried about our investments or our careers. There's a myriad of things with what's going on with the current health and economic and global situation that creates challenging individual worries. This method is not something that will eliminate worry from your life. But yet most of us probably need a strategy that will help us deal with these incessant and sometimes overwhelming worries that we face. Many years ago, I listened to a cassette, to show you how old it is, a cassette by motivational speaker Ed Foreman. He had a suggestion of what to do with worry that became a guideline for me that I've adapted and changed some aspects of it that'll work for me. And I want to share it with you because this may help you as you deal with the worries that you have based upon the current situation. If you really stop and think about it, worry is nothing more or less than negative goal setting. Worry is actively focusing on and vividly imagining the things that we don't want to have happen. I mean, we don't sit around and worry that we might be overwhelmed with blessings. We don't sit around and worry that we may have more cash than we know what to do with. What we tend to worry about is the problems that might be happening in our professional or personal lives, or we might be worried about the financial situation that we're facing. So worries, without exception, tend to be negative. So what we have to do is to change the negative goal setting that we're doing with worry into something more positive that would spring us into taking some kind of action. The first step as you're dealing with worry is to define it. In other words, precisely what are you worried about? I want you to write down specifically what you're worried about. So what happens is when we worry, notice how it tends to spiral and it tends to engage us and it tends to overwhelm us. When you catch yourself worrying, what I'd like for you to do here in the next few days is just stop yourself and discipline yourself to define what you're worried about. Write it down very specifically. This is what I'm worrying about. So put it in quotes. This is it. This is what I'm worried about. Write it down. Define it. Make it precise. The more precise you can make it, the greater the likelihood is that you're going to be able to deal with it. Now, this is critically important. The next step is to ask yourself, is this what I want? Really, I mean, after you've written it down, ask yourself, is this what I'd like to have happen? Now, because it's a worry and because it's negative, now we have to convert it into the positive. So at this step, we're going to say, what do I want? So that becomes very important. What do you want? We have to turn it into a positive step that would focus on something you can take action on. It's hard to take action on a negative. I don't want to not be able to pay my bills. All right, so that would I want to change it. Change the perspective in I want to be able to make my payments, or I want to keep a good credit rating, or whatever that might be. Turn it into the positive. What do you want? So now the next question is, if this is what you want, what's one step that it would take to help you there? Well, I might want to contact creditors. Or I might want to, see about other income alternatives working from home. You can make an entire list that becomes your action plan of the things that you want to do that could take steps. Now, the thing that will get you over some of the challenge of worry is to focus here and not here. In other words, to make certain that you're focusing on action steps that you can take. If the worry is about financing, then what can I do to manage my money that I do have a little bit more effectively? How do I contact creditors? How do I keep up to date with what's happening in federal and state legislation in terms of being able to delay or defer payments? If it's about health, it might be what can I do to specifically build my immune system? If I can't go to the gym, what can I do at in-home workouts or walking around the block around my neighborhood? You make specific lists and then you focus on those lists. Is this going to eliminate worry? Look, if your worry is we're in a global pandemic, what can I do? The fact is none of us can wave a magic wand and make it go away, as much as we'd like to be able to do that. But what we can do is to take responsibility for ourselves. Here are specific things that we are going to do to make it better. So my suggestion to you, once again, is when you catch yourself worrying, define it. Write it down. Say, this is specifically what I'm worried about. Ask yourself, is this what I want to have happen? Obviously, the answer is no. So then you say, instead of what I don't want, what do I want? And start outlining some of the specific action steps that you can be taking that's going to help you. It's not going to eliminate worry. It's not a quick fix or anything that's going to make everything go away. But it will help you take action that helps you feel more connected and more responsible for the outcomes. It's just a method that can help us deal with some of the challenges and changes and uncertainty that we're all facing. This is Scott McCain.